So we have talked about craft, we've talked about inspiration, we've talked about interpretation, and now here's another word for you to think about: communication. Just so important to have a real contact with the people who are listening to you. And I don't mean that you have to stare them down. You don't have to look at every single person in an audience who's listening to you. We flutists face front. We're not like pianists, violinists, cellists face front, but they always turn their heads around a little bit. We're like singers. We have that kind of magnetism that we can establish between ourselves and our listeners. Often when we use music, because many of us, it's in our tradition to use music and not always play by memory, to me it's super important to have the stand invisible to the audience, down low enough so that it's not right here between you and your listeners. Jean-Pierre Rampal was the master of that. He was a tall guy, and he always used his music, but boy, you never saw that music stand. And he was looking at it, but somehow he carried it off. I don't know how. You have to have it there for yourself if you want the roadmap of the notes, but get away from it. Like, chop it away from don't have the psychic aura connecting you to the music stand. Somehow or other, the aura you need to create, or the energy field, has to include you and every single person in that auditorium or small room or wherever you're playing. So using all your craft skill, everything you've been working on, to then bring the music to life is your responsibility. Without you as the performer, the music remains on the page, and poor Mozart is waiting back there for it to come alive. The minute you pick up your flute and you start to play in a way that's loyal to him, the music is alive, and you're communicating his music. So communication, and it doesn't mean distortion, and it doesn't mean necessarily looking at the audience, because many players are ultimate communicators even though they're here. Their music is attaching itself to everyone who's listening. So I would say just keep that in mind and figure out how you can get rid of the chains that chain you down to yourself. In a way, you have to kind of get out of yourself, beyond yourself and what you are doing, and let the music come alive. It's kind of like, my epiphany for this was when, years ago, when I was at the University of Southern California, and I had studied all night for an exam. I think it was history, American history, I think. And at a certain point, I just said, okay, that's it. I'm going to this exam. I'm going to take the exam. And I did not spend the time walking to the exam, going over everything. I just let it go, and I took the exam. And so that's what I believe that you have to do with your music when you're preparing it. Get away from it, and then communicate it and become the music. That, I think, to me, is the ultimate goal.